Hello and a very warm welcome to No One Gets Out of Here Alive. My name is Holly Lyon-Hawk and I will be taking you on a gentle, sometimes humorous and sometimes challenging meander through the myths, beliefs and ideas around all things end of and after life. In this series of podcasts, I will be chatting with a whole range of guests, from sound artists, willow weavers, through to end-of-life doulas, and people who have had near-death experiences to help give you a more holistic, rounded view, with just maybe a few new possibilities of how the inevitable can be approached. Because remember, no one, not even you, gets out of here alive. Welcome to part 2 of this week's instalment of Nobody Gets Out of Here Alive. I am delighted to have with me Claire Turnham. So Claire, what's your experience been with what's been going on with COVID?
Well, it's interesting because I came to New Zealand in February of 2020 with my youngest daughter, who was very unwell at that time. And we came here on holiday and not intending to be here for any longer than a month. And as things turned out for us personally, once in fact, New Zealand was one of the first countries to go into lockdown and our return flights were cancelled. And so we've had to, in a sense, we've had a very different experience to what I think the rest of my family and friends and people in the UK have had in particular. So in New Zealand, what happened initially was, during that very strict lockdown which they had here, no families were allowed to be involved in death, and I think that was truly devastating for those families who were, and this was for anybody who was dying from anything, not just from COVID-19. Now, I'm part of a group who are trying to ensure that that never happens again, that always families will be recognised as fundamentally the decision makers in their own families' right to care for their own. But now, of course, New Zealand has very much no restrictions whatsoever. And so we're now able to, as a country, in fact, I'm involved in a group of, connecting a group of sort of outliers of people from the conventional funeral world who are working together to modernise and we've written a submission to the government on how we would like to see the future of funerals, and part of that in particular here is it's also honouring the perspective of the Māori, which are the tangata whenua, or the people of this land, the indigenous people of this land. And through the Treaty of Waitangi, which was signed between the Crown and the Māori back in 1840, we are now working together with communities to ensure that everything that is done in death is done with those principles of that treaty in mind, which is partnership and participation in particular. So,
beautiful.
It is beautiful. So there's a lot of communities here right now who are coming together to form, in fact, I'm involved in training one of them over the next few weeks, training communities where they're looking at bringing together guides and community leaders who are fully trained and knowledgeable and experienced and have the skills in order to help people in their own communities and their own families. And I think this is something which I would love to see these ripples spreading out further worldwide, because I think it's the future. I think it is it's bringing people together in a way which I don't think has really been ever done before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so important, so important. So you're part of the Home Funeral Alliance in New Zealand, is that right?
No, in New Zealand, I'm leading a group called the Aotearoa Independent Death Voices Alliance, and that's something that we've been doing here, and we're working to collaborating around the country. People who are involved in death and who want to be involved in death are coming together to really reframe what's being done in this country. And in terms of the Australian Home Funeral Alliance, that is a new initiative that has been set up in Australia, and I'm one of the directors of that, and that's a separate thing. But that is that's again bringing together. We see ourselves as a bridge between the community and between practitioners, and again, in both countries, the foundations are the fact that families are intrinsic to this process.
Mm. Would you say you're like an end-of-life doula as well as after-death care? Is it that one seamless?
It is seamless,
in the way you work. Yes.
To be honest, Holly, I try not to give myself any particular name because, yes, for some families I'm working with them before death, and for some families I'm working with them at death, and for some families I'm guiding from the side. I think the thing is that it's a responding to need. Whatever the needs are, I can just fill the gaps, and those needs often change. I think this is, sometimes I've worked with families where they have said to me, Claire, we want you to do everything. And, within a very short space of time, they're actually saying, well, actually, we feel we've got this now. Would you mind actually, if you don't even come to the funeral? How do you feel about that? And I'm thinking, wow, this is totally, for me, like that's the huge, huge privilege to hear that family feels so empowered. I mean, that's what it's all about. So yes, I do work as a doula or a death midwife before death. I work as a guide at death. I work as a celebrant, all of these things. I work as a funeral director if necessary. Undertaking possibly is a better word, because I think it's undertaking whatever is needed to be done. And I think that flexibility is also really important.
Yes, so important. So you're in New Zealand for good now, are you? Or
certainly we are for the moment, but my work is continuing in the UK as well. This is the thing, isn't it? Much of my work now involves around education and collaboration and working with other people, and my everything is online, and I've been able to support families throughout the whole COVID time in the UK as well, who people who need help. I think that's the thing. I just see myself as a helper, to be honest.
Talk about your MBE. That's quite something, isn't it?
That was very special. And in fact, that my family came with me, my mum, and who's 90 now, and my 4 children. We all went to Buckingham Palace in June of 2019, and it was an extraordinary experience. But the reason that I was awarded the MBE was for my work helping people who have been sadly affected by ticket abuse. And that's another part of my world, which on the surface seems very different. But to me, it's really very similar. It's about connecting people and ensuring that everybody is treated fairly. And
that came about originally because you'd bought some tickets. It was for an Ed Sheeran concert for one of your children, wasn't it?
That's right. And I bought the tickets for my son's 16th birthday, actually. And I was ripped off buying those tickets, and I felt very angry about that. And I used that anger to set up a group to help other people who hadn't been as lucky as I had in getting their money back. And the group grew very, very quickly, and we had lots of media help, and we were able to, I think, within the first few months, help reclaim about £50,000 for people. And I was getting calls from all over the world at that time. And I was doing it voluntarily and all around the clock, as well as my death work. And then I was invited to a meeting in June of 2017, after I'd given evidence at the parliamentary inquiry on ticket abuse as the sort of the trusted voice for about 400 people at that time. Well, now there's well over 15,000 people, I think, within our groups. And we've helped reclaim back over £2 million for people now. And it still is something that's going on. But when I was invited to this meeting in London, I said, and this was me being vulnerable, and I'm not used to asking for help, but I needed help at that point. I just couldn't do any more. And I said, I really need help. And it was Ed Sheeran's team who came forward to me to say, how can we help you? What can we do? And so we started working together. And the first thing they asked me to do was to write some guidance. And that guidance has helped a lot of people. And it's free. And in the same way, with my death work, a lot of it is about guiding people. So this is where I'm saying it's very, very similar work. And I did that, and our momentum was growing, and we were helping thousands and thousands of people. And then Ed's team invited me on tour with him in 2018 and 2019. And that was an incredible experience, and we helped thousands of people. And actually, one of the people that I met during that time, who has become a friend, is Ed Sheeran's mum. And I remember when I met her, it was a really special moment for me. And because as mothers, we connected. But I didn't realize that she knew all about my Only with Love work. And that was, again, when we talk about the ripples, again, what I really realized then was, again, it doesn't matter who you are or what you do or what your work is or where you live. Fundamentally, when someone dies, what is important is that we help each other. And we were able to have conversations about this work, and death in particular within the music industry is, there's a lot of very untimely and sudden death within the music industry. And again, as a community of creatives, it is amazing when people in those circles who realize that they can do so much more themselves. And we've just seen it recently with the death of one of Ed's most closest promoters in Australia. He traveled out to that funeral. It was a state memorial, actually, in Melbourne for Michael Gudinski. And Ed actually wrote a very special song during he was in quarantine, and he wrote a song and he sang it for Michael at the funeral. And when you see the emotion, we all just meet each other as humans in that moment. And he, again, was vulnerable. So I think, it just shows you that how important it is.
Death unites us all, doesn't it? Claire, it's absolutely phenomenal, the work that you're doing. It truly is. And if people want to find you or get in touch with you or follow you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, they can do that in several ways. So my UK phone number is still the same, which is on my website, onlywithlove.co.uk, or on my Facebook page. And maybe perhaps, Holly, you can give the links to that. I'm active on social media. On Twitter, I'm Claire Louise Tur. Through the Home Funeral Network as well, we have a Facebook page for that too. And it's another way that somebody can find me, or just emailing me.
Claire, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you staying up so late. I know it's quite late now, so it's about, gone 10 o'clock now? So you're ready for your bed?
I'm leaving tomorrow early, actually, I have gentle care and death workshops locally.
Wow, lovely.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. We have an amazing community of people coming and traveling far and wide. So I will love you and leave you, Holly. And thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed connecting with you again.
Bless you. Talk soon.
Yes, let's do that again. That would be great.
Yeah.
All right,
Claire. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So that's all for now. And I would like to say a very big thank you for being brave enough to dare to listen to a podcast that talks about something we, as a nation, tend to prefer. Doesn't exist, doesn't apply to our lives. But no, it does. No one gets out of here alive. And being more aware and engaged helps us all to have a more positive experience when the time does come to either us or our family, friends and pets. If you'd like to subscribe, please visit www.hollylionhawk.com.